Most first-time travelers think Vietnam is cheap, easy, and simple to figure out once you land. And honestly, that's exactly why so many run into problems. Not because Vietnam is difficult, but because small details get ignored too early. A visa date entered slightly wrong, a transfer scheduled too tightly, a region chosen in the wrong season. None of these sound serious, but together, they quietly cost people time, money, and flexibility. Vietnam in 2026 is more accessible than ever. E-visas are streamlined, infrastructure is improving, tourism is booming again. But accessibility doesn't mean automatic. By the end of this video, you'll understand the small planning mistakes that quietly ruin first trips, and how to avoid them. This isn't a hype travel guide. It's a practical breakdown designed to help you arrive prepared, calm, and in control. Visa assumptions. The "it's easy" trap. This is where most travelers feel completely confident, and sometimes that's the problem. Many first-time visitors assume Vietnam's entry rules work like Thailand or other Southeast Asian countries. They hear e-visa available and stop researching. Others assume visa-free entry applies to them without double-checking their nationality. In 2026, Vietnam's e-visa system is streamlined and widely used, but it's still very specific. Not every passport qualifies for the same terms. Not every stay length is identical. And visa on arrival is not the same thing as simply showing up without prior approval. The most common issue isn't rejection after landing, it's denied boarding at departure. Airlines check your visa before you fly. If the entry date is wrong, the airport isn't listed correctly, or your stay exceeds what's granted, you may not be allowed on the plane. Verify your nationality eligibility on the official immigration site. Match your arrival airport exactly to your approved visa, and triple-check your entry and exit dates before submitting. It's a small detail, but it has a very big impact. Arrival airport and immigration timing. The flight usually isn't the stressful part, immigration is. Many first-time travelers land in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City expecting to be out of the airport in 20 minutes. During off-peak hours, that can happen. But in 2026, with tourism numbers fully recovered and growing, peak arrival windows often mean long queues. Multiple international flights landing within the same hour can easily turn into a 60 to 90-minute wait at passport control. What slows things down isn't just volume, it's paperwork. Travelers without a printed e-visa copy sometimes get pulled aside. Others don't have their accommodation address ready. Even small discrepancies between passport details and visa approval can cause extra checks. The consequence isn't dramatic, but it's inconvenient. Missed domestic flights, delayed drivers, lost hotel check-ins. What works better is simple preparation. Print your e-visa approval. Keep your first night's hotel address accessible. Carry a pen. And if you're connecting onward the same day, build in a generous buffer. And that's before you even leave the airport. SIM cards and airport currency exchange. The first 30 minutes in Vietnam often determine how smooth the rest of your trip feels. After landing, many travelers immediately buy the first SIM card offered at the airport. It's convenient, but usually priced higher than city shops for similar data packages. The difference isn't huge, but it adds up. The same happens with currency exchange. Airport counters are easy, but rates are typically less favorable than banks or reputable gold shops in the city. Some travelers also exchange far more cash than they need, without realizing that cards are accepted in most hotels, mid-range restaurants, and ride apps in 2026. The confusion usually comes from not knowing how cash-based Vietnam actually is. Street food, small cafes, and local markets still operate mostly in cash. Larger establishments and apps like Grab accept cards. What works better is simple. Exchange a small amount at the airport for immediate expenses, withdraw larger amounts from a reputable ATM in the city, and compare SIM offers before committing. But honestly, connectivity isn't the biggest adjustment. Traffic reality and crossing the street. This shocks almost every first-time visitor. You arrive in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, step onto the sidewalk, and see what looks like a non-stop river of motorbikes. The natural instinct is to wait for a completely clear gap in traffic. The problem is, that gap rarely comes. So people stand there hesitating, second-guessing, and building anxiety. What many travelers don't realize is that traffic here flows differently. Motorbike drivers expect you to move slowly and predictably. When you hesitate or suddenly step back, that's when things become confusing. The system looks chaotic, but it operates on anticipation. The technique that works is simple. Step forward confidently, walk at a steady pace, avoid sudden stops, and make light eye contact with approaching drivers. Don't run, don't dart, let traffic flow around you. It feels counterintuitive at first, but once you understand the rhythm, crossing becomes manageable, even routine. Transportation doesn't get simpler once you leave the sidewalk. Domestic transport expectations. Distances in Vietnam look short on the map, but they rarely feel short in real life. First-time visitors often plan routes assuming travel will be smooth and predictable. A quick flight from Hanoi to Da Nang, then an overnight sleeper bus, then a morning tour. On paper, it works. In reality, domestic flights can be delayed. Sleeper buses may arrive earlier or later than expected, and train schedules don't always align perfectly with hotel check-ins. The issue isn't that transport is unreliable. It's that many travelers stack connections too tightly. One delay triggers a chain reaction. A missed cruise departure, a non-refundable tour, a rushed transfer across town during peak traffic. What works better is building breathing room into your itinerary. Avoid booking major tours on the same day you arrive from another city. Add a buffer night before important activities. And treat overnight transport as tiring, even if it saves money. Vietnam rewards flexibility more than speed, and this is where schedules quietly start collapsing. Weather misunderstandings. Vietnam doesn't have one climate, it has three. Many first-time visitors check the weather for Vietnam a week before departure and assume it applies to the entire country. But Vietnam stretches over 1,600 kilometers from north to south. Conditions in Hanoi can be cool and misty, while Da Nang experiences heavy rain, and Ho Chi Minh City stays hot and humid on the same day. Rainy season also confuses many travelers. Rainy rarely means non-stop storms all day. In the south, it often means short, intense afternoon showers. In central Vietnam, however, certain months can bring prolonged rain and rough seas, which affects beach plans and boat tours more seriously. The consequence is simple but frustrating. Packing the wrong clothing, booking beach time during storm-prone weeks, or underestimating northern winter temperatures. What works better is checking region-specific forecasts close to departure and understanding seasonal patterns for each part of your route, not the country as a whole. Weather isn't the only thing that changes by region. So let's talk about the Vietnam is cheap budget myth. Sure, Vietnam is affordable, but honestly, not always in the way a lot of travelers expect. The idea that, everything is cheap can make people stop paying attention to what they're actually spending. In the main areas of Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, prices in tourist-heavy neighborhoods can quietly match, or even exceed, what you'd pay in parts of Thailand or Bali. Street food is still inexpensive, but rooftop bars, boutique hotels, and curated experiences, yeah, those are definitely priced for international visitors. Transportation's another spot where things get confusing. You've got traditional taxis, but the pricing transparency isn't always there. Ride apps like Grab show you the fare up front, which honestly takes out the guesswork and cuts down on misunderstandings. A lot of travelers only figure this out after they've overpaid a few times early in their trip. Tours can also come with layered markups, especially if you're booking last minute through hotel desks or, those aggressive street vendors. What works better is comparing operators online, using ride apps for clear pricing, and, importantly, keeping an eye on those small daily upgrades that can slowly inflate your budget. Convenience creep, like private transfers, premium seating, or little add-ons, adds up way faster than most people expect. And yeah, food pricing works a bit differently too. Food safety and ordering anxiety? Yeah, that's a big one. Most food fears are honestly misplaced, but, you know, one detail really does matter. A lot of first-time visitors show up super worried about street food hygiene. They avoid plastic stools, question every ice cube, and, for the first few days, stick only to hotel restaurants. The irony? Some of the safest and freshest meals in Vietnam actually come from busy street stalls with constant turnover. The real risk isn't street food itself, it's low turnover. If you see a stall with a steady line, that means ingredients move quickly and food is cooked pretty much non-stop. An empty stall during peak meal times? That's a sign you might want to pause. And about the ice, in most urban areas in 2026, especially in cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, you'll find commercially produced, filtered ice. The bigger precaution is just drinking bottled or properly filtered water. What really works better is simple observation. Pick busy vendors, eat food that's freshly cooked right in front of you, wash or sanitize your hands, and ease into richer dishes gradually. But hey, comfort in Vietnam isn't just about food. Cultural expectations and politeness gaps, they can trip people up. What feels totally normal to you might come off as abrupt here. A lot of travelers from the US, Australia, or Europe are used to really direct communication. In Vietnam, it can be a lot more indirect, especially in service situations. A yes doesn't always mean full agreement. Sometimes it's just acknowledgement. And raising your voice or showing frustration? That almost never helps. Negotiation often surprises first-timers too. In markets, it's normal to smile while discussing price. Bargaining isn't a confrontation. It's just a regular part of the interaction. If you come at it too aggressively or treat it like a win-lose game, you'll create tension fast. Another thing people miss is this idea of saving face. Causing someone embarrassment in public, even by accident, can totally shut down cooperation. The consequence usually isn't some big conflict. It's those small, awkward moments that just leave everyone uncomfortable. What works better? Stay calm, keep your tone neutral, and give people space to respond. Patience goes a lot further than intensity. And honestly, this is what quietly causes the most stress on a first trip. Overplanning the first trip, that's the classic mistake. Trying to see everything is what ruins most first visits. Vietnam looks compact on a map, so a lot of travelers plan north, central, and south, all in 7 to 10 days. A few nights in Hanoi, a quick stop in Da Nang, then down to Ho Chi Minh City. On paper, it seems efficient. In reality, it's just constant packing, airport transfers, hotel check-ins, and early alarms. The problem isn't just the distance, it's transit fatigue. Every move eats up half a day. Flights need airport buffers, and trains or buses always take longer than you think. By the time you actually arrive somewhere new, you're too tired to enjoy it. The consequence isn't dramatic, it's just this subtle burnout. The trip feels rushed instead of immersive. What works better? Limit your first visit to 2 regions, or even just one with a few nearby side trips. Prioritize logical flow over a checklist. Stay longer in fewer places. Let cities breathe. Vietnam rewards depth way more than speed, especially the first time. So, if you remember only one thing from this video, let it be this. Most travel problems in Vietnam don't come from danger. They come from assumptions. Assuming the visa works just like another country. Assuming distances are short because, well, they look short. Assuming the weather's the same everywhere. Assuming cheap means you don't need to compare prices. None of these are huge mistakes on their own, but when you stack them up, they create unnecessary stress. Vietnam in 2026 is accessible, modern, and super welcoming, but it runs on its own rhythm. The travelers who enjoy it most aren't the ones who rush. They're the ones who prepare just enough to stay flexible. Small planning gaps create tension. Small adjustments, on the other hand, create freedom. When you really get how things work here, the country becomes easier, calmer, and honestly, way more rewarding than most first-time visitors expect.